Dr. Esther Mahlangu's work is currently being showcased at Wits Art Museum. Titled, Then I Knew I Was Good at Painting, a retrospective, the exhibition explores decades of her contemporary work. Joining us now is Dr. Nontobeko Ntombela Akoi-Jackson, who's the curator for the Esther Mahlangu Exhibition. Dr. Nontobeko, good to have you on the program this evening. So the exhibition is titled, Then I Knew I Was Good at Painting, a retrospective. What inspired this title? And how does it reflect Mahlangu's journey?
So she often, thank you for having me on your program. She often talks about the story of being taught by her grandmother and her mother, and at 10 years old, and when she could, she had the desire to paint, but they would tell her, "You're not yet ready, go to the back of the house." And she talks about how she then would keep on practicing while they're on break. And then one day they realized that she had the potential and said, "You can join us at the front of the house." So her telling the story to me kind of hinted quite a profound vision of someone at 10 years old in the 40s, seeing herself as good at painting, And of course, there are other layers to this when you imagine someone as a young Black girl in the rural areas, imagining herself as being an artist. And we know the histories around that. And so it was important that the exhibition, in being a retrospective, acknowledges the journey the artist has gone. And if she already at 10 years old was seeing herself in the future, I think that was a profound start to actually begin narrating this retrospective. And this is why it was important to really pay tribute to this moment that she too has constantly narrated about her journey.
I want us to expand a bit on that point. How did you approach curating this exhibition, but to really ensure that it fully captures Esther Mahlangu's legacy here?
It's varying strategies, unlike a solo exhibition, unlike a group exhibition, a retrospective is one that requires a lot of research. It's because when we say retrospective, we're actually saying that we are trying to account of a long time of making. And in this particular instant, if you think about it, she's been known for her work for a long time, or even the 80s where she was working at Bochabelo Open Air Museum. She's already known in her communities. So at least 7 decades of making work. And it was important, therefore, to kind of look at different ways to tell the story. One of them is the archive. So going back to her own accounts, she has a box full of images of this lifetime of travel.
Wow.
Some of these memories she remembers, some of them she doesn't. So it took a team to try and now give names to and times and timestamps to these images. And it was important for that to be central in the exhibition. Of course, it was also central to show moments where it moves from umgwalo, in the physical sense of the wall, to the painting itself. She is invited to go to Paris in 1989, this important exhibition called Magiciens de la Terre. And we see her coming back and suddenly working more in modes that were considered of the fine art nature, where her work is now more on canvas. And from there, a lot of commissions, and between highly commercialized commissions to private homes, it was important the exhibition really shows this diversity of her work, even to objects that are not necessarily celebrated within the kind of fine art world. She has an incredible talent on bead work, and it's always been integral to her work. So the exhibition really shows the diversity. It shows how she is really a trailblazer in being able to carry the ethos of her culture and carry this brand into many different spheres and disciplines. Some people argue her work as being design. Some people argue her work as being site-specific. Some people argue her work as being highly contemporary. All of these have to be central and somehow find a place without one being greater than the other. Of course, the BMW car is one that many people sort of know her from, and many people cite this moment as being pivotal to her career. But the balance of the retrospective has to show from small keepsake moments to these big grand commissions that she's presented.
You mentioned the BMW design, but you've also mentioned that Mahlangu expanded these visual arts beyond Western influences, or what we've come to know. How do you think her work has really reshaped perceptions, especially about African art globally?
Oh, in many, many different ways. I suppose let's start with the BMW, that here's an object that captures life experiences, kind of classes in South Africa that come from different extremes. So if we know the car, the BMW 525i, which belongs to a collection of BMW arts series, prestigious, an art commission of important artists in the world. She was the first African woman to be commissioned, first Black woman to be commissioned, the 7th car to enter into this collection that is now 20 today. The second African to be commissioned has only been last year. So here is this object that we know in South Africa to be in the imagination of Black communities with regards to igusheshe, you know, being culture. And then, of course, being the kind of aspirational vehicle where, you know, families were affluent. And if you had this kind of model, you knew that your family had arrived in some sense. So in a way, you see her being able to carry the advances of technology and science with so much ease and poise, at the same time be able to show us the rural, the experience of the natural, the experience of the indigenous. And so to be able to hold this and hold this to the world, right? If you think about it, the Amandebele community in relation to kind of population numbers in South Africa, everyone else in the world go, oh, are you Zulu or are you Xhosa? And here is Mam Esther helping us carry that flag of being Umdebele and showing the world the diversity of South Africa, and holding on to this and not being swayed, because of course, even though she has showed the world how to be part of the contemporary discourse, she's also showed the world that it is from the indigeneity where she is squarely centered and really committed.
Now, this exhibition is set to run until April 2025. That was Dr. Nontobeko Ntombela Akoi-Jackson. She's the curator of Then I Knew I Was Good at Painting. This is a retrospective which really sheds light, like you've heard, of Esther Mahlangu's artistic journey, but also speaking to her impact. Dr. Ntombela, thank you so much for your time.